All right, more than 500,000 lives have been claimed by extreme global weather events that were intensified by man-made climate change. Those are the findings out today from a study that looked back at the 10 deadliest storms over the last 20 years. And experts say countries failing to move away from fossil fuels makes these events more severe and more likely. Joining me now from Dallas is CBS News climate correspondent David Schecter. So David, let's talk about the fact that climate change is responsible for all 10 of these events, and those events were seemingly made worse by the effects of climate change. So explain to our viewers what that study found and how it's possible.
Sure. Well, let's start with the fact that the planet has already warmed by 1.3 degrees Celsius. That might not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but this report that we're just hearing about is showing us how destructive even that amount of warming has been. The nations of the world have pledged to keep warming to 1.5 degrees, but currently the world is on track for up to 3.1 degrees of warming by the end of the century. So this report is really what tells us that what we should expect in the future, which is more intense floods, more droughts, more fires, and unless we urgently cut our emissions of fossil fuels, we can expect more of that as the temperature is rising. And this report obviously saying that that is a fatal outcome.
So David, take us into this study. How did researchers know that these events were as a result of climate change?
Vlad, I think I'll give a little science lesson here because I think this is actually pretty fascinating. Scientists from an international group called World Weather Attribution, they built two very sophisticated side-by-side computer models of the Earth. One model captures all the natural processes that happen on the planet, and in this first model, there's no climate change. The second model is the same as the first one, but represents the Earth as it is now, which has climate change in it. So when researchers then introduce a heat wave or a hurricane into both of those models, they can see that our hotter planet is making those events more destructive.
So we've been talking about it during the segment that there are these 10 deadliest weather events. I hope we have a graphic to show our viewers which they were, because I'm trying to, I could sort of come up with a few, but I might be wrong. So what were they?
Well, the deadliest events was a drought that hit Somalia in 2011 that killed 250,000 people. In 2008, about 140,000 people in Myanmar were killed by a tropical cyclone. And more recently, heat waves in Europe over the last 2 summers killed more than 90,000 people combined. And even though those storms and heat waves driven by climate change are also deadly in the United States, so far, none of the top 10 events have happened here in the U.S. And it really sets this election up in contrast when you have one candidate, Vice President Harris, who says climate change is an existential threat, and former President Trump, who calls it a hoax. Looking at the outcome of this election has an impact on climate change.
Yeah, David, I was living in France during the bouts of severe heat that France experienced in the mid-2000s, early and mid-2000s, and it was remarkable. French authorities were baffled, and what was even all the more remarkable is that many people died in those heat waves because people don't really have air conditioning in France, and so a lot of older French people who were living at home alone succumbed to the effects of that heat. It was really, at the time, baffling, and now I guess science has figured out it's the result of climate change, and my guess is that it's only going to get worse.
Well, I just think the key thing to realize is that it would have been hot anyway, right? So there would have been a heat wave in France that summer that you were there, but that climate change juices the odds of it being worse. And so it is playing a role. It's enhancing these problems that we're having. It's not creating the weather. It makes it worse.
Wow. All right. David, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.